Welcome everyone to the 130th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Elizabeth Taylor and Larry Fortensky. This is also the last in my series that I've been doing on Elizabeth Taylor and all of her husbands, so closing a chapter here today. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline, and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those who are returning, I take notes on a synastry chart, looking at the personal planet signs aspects and if birth times are available, house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us weekly, and let's get right into this one. Starting off with the sun, we have Elizabeth's sun in Pisces and Larry's sun in Capricorn. Liz gets irritated with Larry, and Larry brings structure to Liz's life. I feel like he would bring a different perspective. I'm pretty sure he's the only one that wasn't like in the industry. Like, he's the only like quote unquote like normal person that Elizabeth married. Like, he was some construction worker or something like that. So he would definitely bring a different perspective and a sort of different atmosphere to Liz's life. Larry gets frustrated with Liz, and Liz helps Harry to be open-minded. Larry's sun overlaid in Elizabeth's second house. Marriage is not possible. I mean, it wasn't possible in the end, so, kind of adds up. Liz is a valuable asset to Larry, and Liz may feel used. I mean, with the context, I'm not shocked. Liz senses Larry wants something more. I mean, yeah, I'm sure she would have her suspicions and everything. They both may be working towards a common goal, and Larry sees Liz as someone who can help him achieve goals. The thing is, I don't think he ever did anything in the media as far as I know. I think there was not success, real success he had. I mean, we know him as Elizabeth Taylor's husband, not as an actor in his own right or musician or anything. So I assume things didn't fall through if there was intentions. Elizabeth's sun sextile Larry's Mercury. They have similar interests and there's an intellectual friendship. They're able to work together and they like to talk to each other. They resolve problems easily and they find it easy to share ideas. They're relaxed around each other, and Liz wants to improve Larry. That's not the best dynamic so far we're getting. This is kind of she wants to save him, but also feels like he's using her. It's a bit muggy. Liz values Larry's intelligence. I'm sure she would appreciate a new perspective after especially her continuously marrying and potentially dating people in her industry. I'm sure this would be refreshing her, to her in a sense, a different mindset. Elizabeth's sun, Trine Larry's Uranus. They start as friends. I wonder where they met though. It's a very random thing. The only thing I can think of is if she employed him at one sense, because I don't know where else, Elizabeth Taylor would meet a, normal guy, quote unquote. Liz inspires Larry and frequent changes occur. They get each other's humor and it's a relationship of experimentation. I mean, in a sense it is. I feel for both of them really, because very different leagues they're dealing with. They encourage each other to be themselves and there's a strong attraction. Liz thinks of Larry as inspiring and exciting, and they both need to encourage the other's independence. I feel this would be in a sense of the independence what they already had, instead of necessarily changing the other, because I feel I imagine there would be some complications with, a Hollywood star, very rich, I imagine, and then you have someone who's a, blue collar worker. That is, very different leagues and can very easily get complicated in ways. And, there would definitely need to be the understanding of the other's lifestyle and continuing to live their own lifestyles. Larry tries to keep the relationship interesting, and Liz may feel threatened by Larry's need for freedom. Larry's sun conjunct Elizabeth's Saturn. Larry is resentful of Liz and they need to make time for fun. They can overcome obstacles together and the relationship strengthens over the years. I have no idea if maybe potentially they just ended up being friends or something like that, but that's there. They are able to depend on each other, and Liz needs to learn to stop being so critical. Liz has a tendency to repress Larry, and Liz can be threatened by Larry's individuality. It's very interesting. Like, there's this weird, she feels weirdly about him, it seems like. They both feel they can have a stable relationship. Larry's vitality diminishes after being with Liz, and Larry needs to learn to not be so sensitive to criticism. Yeah, this is a bit weird. I want more information before I say anything, because it's just very odd. Larry's sun opposite Elizabeth's Pluto. It's a relationship of growth, and they feel it's fated. Maybe they did meet in a very strange way and it was kind of like destiny. I think particularly for Elizabeth, because I'm not sure about Larry's previous relationships or anything like that. But I'm sure for Liz, it would have been very refreshing, to meet someone new that's not, in the industry, someone that's not more powerful than her as well. Because there's been a couple of those where they're a lot more powerful than her and she's kind of suppressed in that relationship. This would be a very new dynamic for her. It's a bond that's not easily broken, and they are both separated by distance. Yeah, I imagine if they have very different lifestyles, because even, obviously with Elizabeth being an actress and everything, there would be some traveling involved with that. With blue collar workers though, I'm gonna generalize with Larry, I don't want to specify anything and get it wrong. But with that, there can definitely be variations if they're traveling or not. So I wonder if maybe he traveled for work as well. So there would be that distance and everything. Larry has the tendency to embarrass Liz, and Larry uses Liz to boost himself in a negative way. I'm not liking, Larry seems to have unique intentions here. I'm not really obsessed with it. Now for the intermission, this video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry chart readings on my Etsy store. I do both basic and detailed ones. The basic ones are a bit more simple to understand and really good for those just beginning out in astrology, getting their heads around it, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed readings are very similar to what I do here, so it's a lot of it just with my insights and interpretation on the chart. So if you're interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot, readings and gifts, definitely check out my Etsy store for that. I'm always releasing new other things there as well. And you can even just favorite the store just to support me for free. Thank you for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for moon. We have Elizabeth's moon in Scorpio and Larry's moon in Virgo. Liz has manipulative tendencies, and Liz is loyal to a fault to Larry. I mean, the loyalty is fine. It's just the manipulative tendencies, I'm like, that's a bit just not great. Because I imagine this will be coming from a place of maybe Liz being paranoid and suspicious, because we did see she senses Larry wants something more. She feels a bit used and everything. And in combination with seeing that Liz has the tendency to repress him, it's, yeah, not the best. Larry has difficulty understanding Liz, and they both have a tendency to be too analytical with each other. Larry's moon overlaid in Liz's 9th house. Larry idolizes Liz. I mean, that would be kind of funny and fun for him in a way, if he did admire Liz and everything, and she was his celebrity crush in a sense. This would be, fun. Larry feels that Liz is out of his league, and there's a possibility for long distance we're seeing again. Larry brings out the best in Liz, and Liz may become emotionally attached to Larry. Liz may become dependent on Larry, and they share similar attitudes on politics and religion. There's mutual respect, admiration, and affection. Elizabeth's moon trine at Larry's Uranus. They both feel free to express themselves, and Larry is more open around Liz. There's a level of unpredictability, and ideas of unconventional domestic setup bring them together. Which this could be very layered, because obviously the long distance thing, both of them are in careers where there is potential for that. I feel also, not sure about Larry's situation, but with Elizabeth, she's had, children before Larry and everything. So obviously that sort of co-parenting dynamic that Liz has to juggle with this current relationship. And I mean, there can always be their own, domestic like upbringings and all of that, how they grew up and all of that. So there are definitely several ways where they could bring them together. It could be all of them. They can cope with sudden changes together, and Larry feels safe around Liz. They enjoy talking about social issues, and mutual friends bring them together. In what way? Like, the only way I can imagine is like if someone like employed Larry, like, is in any other way, especially in that old Hollywood time. I mean, maybe there was, that sort of like friend of a friend, like this is, my cousin or something sort of thing. Elizabeth's moon square Larry's Pluto. Jealousy and emotional manipulation is underlying. We've only seen this on Liz's end so far. Larry tends to be controlling over Liz, and Larry senses Liz's unconscious needs and manipulates her with it. Great, so they're both manipulative. That's really nice. Projection is a challenge, and they both need to let go of the idea that love only exists with control. They both need to work through power struggles 100%. I feel like it is a very interesting dynamic to have, because like you have Elizabeth, who's like obviously rich, famous, she has status and everything, but in a sense, like, because I'm pretty sure Larry's like some blue collar worker. This is going to be very embarrassing if he's not, but I'm pretty sure Larry is in that sort of sphere of work. It is a very like manly, masculine type thing, and in his own way, he does have the power, that sort of like masculine ego and all of that. So they, definitely have their own sort of ways in which they have the power and which they've been used to having power as well. There's a deep emotional transformation, and they both may need to work through some psychological demons from the past. I mean, I'm sure Elizabeth has her own sort of like baggage she would bring here. Larry, I probably should have checked how old he was when he got into this, but there is definitely that possibility on his end as well. He's bringing his own baggage as well. Larry's moon at Trine Elizabeth Saturn. Building on past traditions is important. In what way? It's a stable relationship, which we did see they feel they can have a stable relationship, so I'm sure at some point, like they did. There's potential for accumulating wealth, and Larry sees Liz as mature. Is he younger? Like, I really want to check his age now and like, read more into this, because it's very odd dynamic. Liz is accountable with Larry, and Liz prioritizes domestic life, which I guess is like, nice to see. It seems like if that is the case, because we did see the traveling elements, maybe that is on Larry's end, because it wasn't specific to Liz. Maybe this was a relationship where she did like settle down a bit. Liz's desire for commitment is appealing to Larry, and Liz finds it difficult to be emotionally caring, which is interesting because we saw that Liz tends to be dependent on Larry, seems to be in an emotional way. So it's very interesting that it seems like she wants to take it but is not like doing it for Larry. I hope we'll see a bit more. They can achieve mutual long-term goals together. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Elizabeth's Mercury in Pisces and Larry's Mercury in Capricorn. There's conflict between Larry's realism and Liz's lack of it. I mean, yeah, the difference between Larry living in like, the normal life, but so I imagine more of that sort of like working middle class type of, lifestyle and life perspective he has. Compared to Liz, she's pretty much kind of living in a fantasy world. She's around luxury all the time and everything. Liz finds Larry snobby and selfish, and Larry is frustrated with Liz's impracticality. Liz teaches Larry how to consider feelings. Larry's Mercury overlaid in Elizabeth's first house. Larry can easily express himself to Liz, and Liz finds it easy to understand Larry. Liz feels more talkative around Larry. The Mercuries are sextile to each other, so they enjoy conversations together, and they're interested in similar subjects. They have interesting conversations, and there's complementary thinking. Misunderstandings are unlikely. I feel like this would be in a sense of, when it comes to the actual lifestyles and everything over anything else, because it seems like we have seen, like, conversation-wise, they share similar views, like, socially and all of that. It just seems like their lifestyles are just very different to each other, and it seems like that is building conflict, particularly with like Liz seemingly being suspicious of Larry. Elizabeth's Mercury trine Larry's Uranus. Liz sees Larry as an intellectual companion. Yeah, it seems to be that way over anything else. Like, it seems like intellectually they're fine. it just seems like there's certain, like the lives they live are very conflicting of each other. They're perceptive and intuitive of each other, and there's open communication. Liz becomes more inventive around Larry, and they work together on goals, and they encourage each other's visions. I feel like this would be more on Larry's end for Elizabeth, because from Elizabeth's end, we've seen that she has a tendency to repress Larry and his like potential ideas and visions and all of that. Larry's Mercury sextile Elizabeth's Mars. Liz encourages Larry to put his thoughts into actions. So it's not in a career way though, because like we did see that she tends to feel a bit used by him, represses him and all of that. So I imagine it is in different ways. Like there's no way it's career. There's healthy competitiveness and they work well together. Liz can take things too personally and they inspire each other to improve themselves. Larry's Mercury trine Elizabeth's Neptune. Liz inspires Larry's imagination and they share an appreciation for the arts. I'm sure this would be kind of a nice outlet for Larry as well, like, because if he is like working in the blue collar field of some kind, that's not a very like particularly like creative, artistic type of like environment. So I'm sure like being around Liz would sort of bring out that like side of him he potentially has. They get each other and they're forgiving of each other. So now it's time for Venus. We have Elizabeth's Venus in Aries and Larry's Venus in Sagittarius. These are both fire signs. They fall in love impulsively and the relationship starts quickly. It's a stimulating relationship and neither take the time to get to know each other. Perfect. I wonder why they eventually got divorced. They inspire each other and Larry enjoys sharing his ideas with Liz. They have fun together and neither feel tied down, which I guess would make sense, like, because we did see separation occurs long distance. I wonder if, like, their marriage was just, them being independent together, obviously. You would hope so, but, I wonder if they just prioritized their own lives as well and potentially they didn't spend as much time together, present together as they possibly could have. They easily get into heated arguments that die down quickly and they give each other space. Larry's Venus overlaid in Liz's first house. Larry is attracted to Liz, which we did see before he idolizes her, so I assume generally, obviously, but potentially he just specifically had a celebrity crush on her of some kind. Larry enjoys being seen with Liz. That's, I imagine where Liz is suspicious. Liz is flattered by Larry, and Liz over time may not appreciate the shallow admiration. I feel like that is kind of what's really not doing the best in this relationship, because otherwise they seem to be fine together. It just seems like there's a conflict with like Liz seemingly being suspicious, Larry's identity being suppressed and all of that. That's not a really great combination to have. Larry doesn't pay attention to the regular Liz. Yeah, if he's just here because just because, Elizabeth Taylor, she just wants to be in a relationship with me, I'm just going on the ride. Like, that's also not great because, what are his intentions here, Their Venus signs are trying together, so they enjoy each other's company and they both have a desire to make the other happy. They share a mutual community. I'm very curious how they met because we keep seeing they share a mutual community. I just can't imagine where, unless it is an employee of some kind or it's someone's, normal family member, some cousin or something. They appreciate how the other dresses, handles money, and socializes. Elizabeth's Venus opposite Larry's Saturn. Liz feels she is below Larry, which I know I did say, that Liz seems to hold more power. I feel definitely in a financial status point of view she does. But obviously considering the time frame and Larry's own sort of power he has, in that way, I'm sure Liz would feel below Larry because I imagine he tends to be a bit more on the traditional masculine side of things. Larry fears Liz's withdrawal and Larry can become critical and demanding of Liz. Toxic cycles easily occur and Liz sees Larry as controlling and unsympathetic. Larry sees Liz as vain and childish. I think we did see some things like this before. I wonder if there is an element maybe not that he doesn't see her as a real person, but potentially he sees her as some sort of idealized figure and not really, getting everything that goes with the whole persona she has. Obviously, she's not going to be as in touch with things compared to Larry, who's lived in the real world, for lack of better words. It's long term and they have a difficult meeting. They may be critical of each other due to jealousy. I wouldn't be surprised because they both have things that the other would be jealous of. Like, obviously Liz has like the money, the status and everything and fame, if that's what Larry's interested in. But you also have Larry who has like, peaceful, quiet life, very secluded, all of that. Elizabeth's Venus square Larry's Uranus. They feel they cannot rely on the other. I assume this is just as time goes by. Larry resents Liz's desire for commitment. Ew, that's interesting. There's an instant attraction and they are separated at times. It's an emotional roller coaster and it's not a stable relationship. Yeah. Elizabeth's Venus opposite Larry's Neptune. Liz may prefer to idolize Larry. I don't like that they are idolizing each other. That's not a great thing. Larry doesn't like Liz's idolization. I mean, same, I agree, but I also don't like Larry idolizing Liz as well. Like, I don't like how there's this mutual idolization. It's like, and it just goes with like they, both like got together before they really got to know each other or something like that. We saw that. It's just, they just jumped into this one. Liz is so caught up in love, she doesn't know Larry. If this is a situation where I imagine this is a bit of a situation where they, were married and then they started living together and actually got to know each other's lifestyles and how they mesh in each other's lives, which wouldn't be shocking considering the time frame, but that is just... They both find it difficult to stay, and Larry needs to be careful with promising too much. Lies occur to protect from the pain, and Larry has a hard time being realistic with Liz. I'm sure he has these challenges, like communicating with Liz. Like, it's just two completely different worlds. Larry communicates with Liz vaguely, and neither can define what attracts them to the other. Elizabeth's Venus trine Larry's Pluto. It's emotionally fulfilling and it's not likely to grow stale. I mean, emotions wise, we haven't seen a whole lot besides Liz is a bit more emotionally dependent, but also Liz, she doesn't provide a lot of emotional substance or finds it difficult to be emotional for Larry, something like that. So it seems like, I guess for Liz, it's more emotionally fulfilling than Larry. It's not likely to grow stale and they both enjoy growing from this relationship. They want to have children together. I mean, I imagine this will be more of like they're wanting to like parent their children together. Not sure like Larry's situation, but I imagine with like Liz, being at the point she would be, I assume she would be a bit older at this point considering we're at the end. I imagine she wouldn't necessarily want to have a child like with Larry. Rather than like wanting to co-parent with Larry, if that makes sense. Liz sees Larry as a soulmate and Liz considers Larry irresistible. Larry's Venus trine Liz's Jupiter. Liz appreciates Larry as a friend, which we did see a couple times, like they start as friends. That's why I'm like, was he some kind of, it's very stereotypical, but like, was he some kind of like gardener or some employee or something where Liz like over time, like, got to know him. She didn't really, like got used to him and stuff like that. They see the good in each other and they're a financially abundant couple. They make each other feel more confident and they share inside jokes. They're a popular couple and they thrive in each other's company. Larry improves Liz's social life. I imagine this will be just as a matter of like he's introducing her to like, again, quote unquote normal people and like just, I imagine would be very refreshing for Elizabeth. Larry's Venus trine Liz's Uranus. The relationship seems odd to outsiders. Yeah. They enjoy experimenting together and they share unusual interests. There's an unconventional setup. Again, I'm very curious to see how they met because it seems like an element of being friends, but also an element of fate as well. Larry is drawn to Liz's unique qualities and there's an element of fate we're seeing again. Liz finds Larry charming and attractive and it's not long term. Yeah, it's a bit unstable, isn't it? Like they feel it can happen, but it can't. So now it's time for Mars. We have Elizabeth's Mars in Pisces and Larry's Mars in Libra. The relationship lacks decisiveness. I mean, in certain ways, yes, but I feel like the decision to actually get married, that was a very quick decision they made. Larry defends Liz. I wonder, because I'm sure there would be an element, particularly on Larry's end, because I'm sure with the other people that she married that were also in Hollywood in the industry, I'm sure that was kind of expected at the time, because even though, like, obviously marriage was a bit more like treasured, for lack of better words, back in the day, in old Hollywood there were multiple marriages going on with people. So obviously with them it would have been kind of expected that she's marrying another actor. But I feel like for Larry to get married to Liz, I think for him, I'm sure there would have been not necessarily backlash, but like questions. Like, you're seriously marrying her? I'm sure that would have been something that came up. It's a passive relationship and Liz is charmed by Larry. Larry's Mars overlaid in Liz's 10th house. Larry brings out Liz's competitive side and there's a cold and detached chemistry. Larry wants to impress Liz and neither know what they want from each other. I'm not obsessed with that. I just don't like, they don't really know each other though here. Like, we've seen that already a couple times. It's not great. Liz tends to put her walls up with Larry. I imagine this would be in a sort of like protecting her career and her money, I think, particularly in her reputation and everything. Because it seems like there was the elements we were seeing where she feels a bit used. Seems like she's a bit more paranoid about Larry. Liz both craves and fears Larry's stability, which we saw on Larry's end as well. We saw how, he fears her withdrawal but also resents her commitment. It's very interesting that this is a shared thing. Why did they get married? The relationship seems intense to outsiders. So their Mars signs are trying together, so they give each other confidence and they're in sync. They challenge each other to do their best, which we did see, I think, before, how they like encourage each other to like do their best as well before, so that's repeated. That's nice. There's direct communication and they feel they can do anything together. There's healthy competition and they do physical activities together. So maybe they met, I don't know, like some kind of gym potentially. That could very well be a thing. They energize the other when they're feeling low. Larry's Mars square Liz's Saturn. Larry tries to impress Liz, I think we're seeing again. So potentially he was like aware of like being around Liz and wanting to like impress her, entice her a bit. Liz's standards are in conflict with Larry's efforts, and Liz may try to control Larry as she thinks he is immature. I mean, that could be, why? Maybe she thinks he's a bit more immature and doesn't maybe understand her like lifestyle and life and things surrounding her life, which we have seen he doesn't particularly seem to be like as well versed, understandably so. But maybe that is where she views him as a bit more like immature, wants to like protect herself and, control him a bit, put her walls up, all of that. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'd be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one. Definitely an odd reading and an odd way to finish this little mini series on my channel. And if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings weekly. And besides that, give this video a like and I will see you guys next time. Bye! And a shout out to my astrology enthusiast, Monkey Girl. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you would also like a shout out and get early access to new videos, click the join button below to join the membership. There are 2 tiers, the observers and the enthusiasts. All that will be in the information in that button. And thank you again, Monkey Girl, for supporting the channel.